how do I stay motivated when it comes to seeking knowledge, when it comes to learning? Maybe in the beginning I have a lot of motivation, and then slowly that dies down, and I don't have that same eagerness to learn. There's a Shaykh in Medina, his name is Shaykh Amir Bhajat, who teaches in teaches in Masjid Nabawi. He made some lines of poetry, and in these lines of poetry he mentioned 5 ways in how a person can keep high aspirations. So he says, وَخَمْسَةٌ عِلَاجُ ضَعْفِ الْهِمَّةِ. He says 5 things are the cure for the weakness of aspiration. وَخَمْسَةٌ عِلَاجُ ضَعْفِ الْهِمَّةِ قِرَاءَةٌ فِي سِيَرِ الْأَئِمَّةِ. The first is reading in the biographies of the Imams, meaning reading the biographies of the scholars that have come before us. From them, firstly would enter the Sahaba, and then the Tabi'een, and other scholars who came after them. Because when you read about their lives, it motivates you when you realize that this certain Imam did this, and this certain Imam would do this, and he would do this type of ibadah, and he would worship for this long, and he would read this much, and this one would travel this many months for one hadith. That motivates a person to emulate them and try to be similar to them. As the poet says, فَتَشَبَّهُ إِن لَمْ تَكُونُوا مِثْلَهُمْ. That try to liken yourself to those people, even if you're not able to be like them. فَإِنَّ التَّشَبُّهَ بِالصَّالِحِينَ فَلَاحُ. For verily, likening yourself to the pious people, in of itself, that is success. So, reading regarding the lives of those past scholars is something which motivates a person's aspirations. And I believe Shaykh Qasim, he also once said that when you read their biographies, it's as though you've entered a different world. It's as though you're living with them. Just like if somebody was reading the seerah or and so on, it's like you can imagine everything and you're with them. So when you read regarding the biographies, that motivates a person. Then the Shaykh, he says, وَذِكْرُ فَضْلِ الْعِلْمِ وَالتَّعَلُّمِ. And remembering the virtues of knowledge and of learning. So just like in the beginning of the lessons, when we started, we mentioned some ahadith regarding the virtues of knowledge and the benefits of learning. Such as the hadith, whoever treads upon a path of seeking knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make his path to Jannah easy for him. When a person hears a hadith like that, it motivates him that he wants to go to Jannah. So the easy way to get to Jannah is by learning about Islam. So that's the whole point. Ulama mentioned these virtues in the beginning. It's to motivate a student. So anytime that motivation goes down, go back to those ahadith that you have written down. And inshallah, that will also motivate you. So he says, وَذِكْرُ فَضْلِ الْعِلْمِ وَالتَّعَلُّمِ وَصُحْبَةُ الطُّلَّابِ أَهْلِ الْهِمَمِ. And accompanying those students that have high aspirations, i.e. having good companionship. If you're around those people that are always talking about knowledge, and they themselves are attending lessons, and they are revising knowledge and so on, if you're with those people, naturally you're going to be motivated to also do what they are doing. So you'll be motivated to attend classes, you'll be motivated to revise with them, and so on. And then he says, وَنَقْلَةُ الْمَلُولِ مِنْ صِنْفٍ إِلَىٰ آخَرَ فِيمَا نَفْعُهُ قَدْ حَصَلَ. And then the one who is bored or demotivated, moving from one science to another science in which there is benefit. Meaning, if you're studying a certain topic, and in simple terms, you've basically got a bit bored of that topic. You've been studying it for so long. There's no harm in you stopping and then moving on to another topic. Why? The Shaykh says in the next line, لِكَيْ تَعُودَ نَفْسُهُ مُشْتَاقَةً. So that you can return back to the original topic and you're motivated to learn that again because you've left it for a while. And this doesn't necessarily mean you're studying a book. Just stop the book halfway through all the time. If it's a small book, maybe wait until you finish the book and then you can move on to a different science. So we're doing hadith right now. The next book most likely wouldn't be hadith. The next book will probably do something else, maybe aqidah, fiqh, whatever it may be. Because sometimes, naturally, what happens if you're studying just one science, one topic, you can maybe get, might not be the best thing to say, but it can happen. You maybe feel a bit bored of that subject, so you move on to a different one, something completely new, different topics, different information taught in a slightly different way. And that will rekindle that motivation that you have. So he says, لِكَيْ تَعُودَ نَفْسُ مُشْتَاقَةً وَعَدَمُ التَّحْمِيلِ فَوْقَ الطَّاقَةِ. And the last thing he says is not burdening yourself and taking more than what you can handle. وعدم التحميل, and not carrying فوق الطاقة, more than your ability, more than the ability. So, meaning, what happens sometimes in the beginning, if you're really motivated, then you get really excited and you try to attend as many classes as you can and try to learn as much as you can and join as many courses as you can. What happens? It ends up being too much for you and you end up burning up. So you take what is, what you're able to take and what you're able to remain consistent upon. And we talked about consistency in the beginning. So these are 5 points that the Shaykh mentioned in these lines of poetry that will allow a person to remain motivated and have high aspirations. The first is reading the biographies of the Imams. The second is revising and reading the virtues of knowledge and of studying. The third is accompanying students that have high aspirations. The fourth is if you feel, if you do get bored of a certain subject, move on to another subject. And number 5 is not taking more than what you are able to carry or able to do.